dedicated to the Gateshead faker, Mr. Steel, or Mr. Pig Iron, depending on how you look at it. So here we go. Daylight waveform shows that level of blue light to red light to green and yellow. That's the actual light source intensity as intensity. It's not adjusted for your eyes, it's the actual energy hitting. This is an objective way of viewing the information. There's a rapid cutoff in the violet part of the spectrum, and you can see the different wavelengths. Incandescent light bulbs and halogen light bulbs are based on incandescence through heat and are a black body radiator, but they don't have the same curve. Most of you people, okay boomer, are screaming, I don't want to be exposed to, name that color or radio frequency or whatever, based on ignoring what came before you. Now we'll look at fluorescent lights. Those are the ones that we're talking about, vacuum, mercury vapor fluorescent lights, okay? And you see they have a set of spikes. They're missing part of the wavelengths, but they do the ratios, sort of. Then we get cool white LED, which just means that it's bluish, and warm white LED, which significantly mutes that particular part of the spectrum because they use a one light emitting diode to produce the entire spectrum, and it has that kind of peak cutoff thing. Now, I don't know if you notice this, but it looks really like a bell curve, and it looks really familiar. I want you to look at the warm white LED. That's the one with the red bias to it. And that's the curve for a typical warm white LED. Now, it has muted blue, and see that it cuts off really hard at 500 nanometers and goes up to 700, or, well, that's the low frequency in red. Now, remember, that's 500 to 700 with a peak in the green and yellow area, near, let's say, 700 nanometers. No, it's 400 nanometers, okay? All right. Now, again, you are required to look at this. Yes, there are people out there who claim the sun was never white. I'm not kidding. They actually make this claim and scream at the top of their lungs that it used to be literally the same color yellow they use on crayons. I'm not talking to those people who are crazy and stupid about this. They may actually have a point, but they sound and behave crazy and stupid, so they're off the list. Now, these are relative intensities based on intensity, not based on correcting the curve so that it will match what your eyes see. This is not subjective, it's objective. How many watts of energy on each light level, okay? That's why this scale looks so extreme on the blue peak for cool white versus warm white. Now we go to the next one. Circadian action spectrum of light, standard LED with a Kelvin value of 2700. The wavelength, large blue light peak, white chromatically. That means it's white light. As far as light measurement, it matches closer to what sunlight is. Faded colors, because it's a washed out light source. Okay. Now we go to sleep LED, aka you might have noticed that. That's the warm white LED spectrum. This is just a different shape. Moderate blue light instead of large blue light peak. Yellow chromatically, yellowish light, like you guys keep wanting, reddish colors. And it looks like that. This is an extreme version of it. Then we get blue-free LED, which of course this website is probably selling, and it has a light peak very close to the ultraviolet range that is violet and is missing the blue peak for your visual spectrum pickup. That curve there does that, and it makes no blue light, but it makes purple light, which is closer to the eye socket, eye damaging ultraviolet light range. But it's white chromatically and has accurate colors. Is somebody selling you something? And is that a better idea? And of course, is that actually how light looks? Okay, now think slowly, and I'll have links to everything. By the way, if anybody's curious, a lot of these pages are from people selling you stuff to grow marijuana. I'm not kidding. Grow lights. And a lot of them are also for indoor farming, so you can do that during, the inevitable long nuclear winter we're going to have. And yeah, they sell these things for these reasons. They also, I'm linking to curves on websites for people making photographs. Cameras aren't eyeballs, guys and gals. Pure white, according to what? Warm white. Okay, again, you can see what the curve shape is. Now, I'm just going to go back for a second. Oh, excuse me. Okay, on the lower right part of the screen, warm white and cool white LEDs. Okay? So, pure white versus warm white, that's an LED curve. That's what it looks like. And this one's a warm white, and the pure white, they're just, again, emphasis added. It's a cool white versus warm white, not pure white. Or is it pure? And there's a dip at the 500 nanometer length, and this one has a peak at 600 on the right one. On the left one, the peak is more towards 400 nanometers. Or is that 600? No, that's 550. What? Okay, let's continue. Warm white compact fluorescent lights. See all the little spikes? Again, that is a mercury vapor lamp. It produces ultraviolet light way beyond to the left, way beyond purple, and these are the spikes it produces. And usually the strongest spike will be half or 1/3 of the frequency of the light source, but not always. And as you can see from the spikes at 620, you get the idea. This would be like a 310, way over there in the ultraviolet range, wavelength. Maybe, I don't know. But it produces more red than blue. Oh, remember those warm white compact fluorescents? Okay. This is the cool white. Even Steven on the energy. And this is relative value from 1 as 100%. And yeah, 60% of the intensity levels are blue and red, and then 100% at green. And again, let's go back. Now this one is warm white, 100% values for red, then it has 80% for green, and it has specifically for blue range, 20%. Guess what your response curve is supposed to use? So let's go on. This is a web page, and they sell light bulbs. It's sunshiny LED car lighting. Anyway, these are for cars, and this is an indoor light, or it could be a light for outside of the vehicle if you want. But one of the things they do in other countries, this one's actually I think Korean, is they give you the entire spectrum of what they sell because you might have a requirement for it. And you notice it has the typical hump and then a spike of a light emitting diode. And you notice it fills in the entire curve spectrum pretty well. Okay. Now let's go on. Absorption, arbitrary units, meaning just ratios, for blue, green, and red in human eyes. You may have noticed that there's a dip at 470 nanometers. And that's right at blue and blue-green, right here. We have 3 cones. Oh, wait a minute. You do know that the black and white capability you have, the brightness tester, the rods, they contribute to this. Yeah, you didn't know about that, did you? Did you think about that? I wonder where it's located by any chance. It probably isn't there. It couldn't be right at 470 nanometers. But anyway, they're showing them exactly the same intensity level. This is a color-corrected version for your eyesight. Let's look at another one. Here we go. Oh, look. 475 is right here, and there's your rod detection. We have 4-color detection. The rods in your eyes are keyed towards blue-green for seeing stuff at night. Then there's red, orange, and yellow, and these are the sensitivities, and they derive the other colors from it. Blue is much lower intensity. This is relative response. Again, this is ratioed. It could be based on decibels. It could be absolute measurement. I don't care. The point I'm making here is it's more than what you've been told if you've been looking up the subject and then decided to turn off the blue guns on your computer screens so you get amber screens. That's not going to fuck up your vision at all. Typical sensitivity to light for each of just the 3 types of cones. Fraction of light absorbed as percentages. 20% for green, and it's around 18% for red. And what? Okay. These are the ratios at those frequencies. They swap out. They'll go to 0 at about 400 nanometers, and at 680 nanometers approximately is red. Okay? But you already saw a second ago, yeah, we have more than 3 colors we detect. Yeah, you're being tricked into turning off your ability to see at night if you turn off the blue spectrum. Because, again, your ability to see at night relies on you getting some blue light in at night. Otherwise, driving would be dangerous. That's why your light bulbs on your car are not red. Or amber, you know, like the overhead amber sodium vapor lights. Are the people who want you to sell protection from these supposed hazards the ones who are claiming they exist in the first place? The sun itself is the greatest source of blue light we are exposed to on a daily basis, and it has a curve that doesn't look like anything like our reception curve. We overemphasize mentally blue colors and red colors because we're least sensitive to it. And yeah, this is actually the effective curve if you include the entire sensitivity spectrum. That's for rods and cones. Oh yeah, that's important. Yeah. And I want to, again, there are people out there who believe the sun only put off yellow light at one time because they're idiots. There are people who believe right now that turning off the blue gun on their computer monitors or removing it from light sources isn't going to cause car accidents by turning off this chunk of the spectrum over here, or other people want you to turn on the, well, not purple, it's actually violet. Purple is a different kind. To give you what advantage? Okay. The health risk you've been told about is about it affecting your sleeping habits. The other risk is affecting whether or not you're suicidal. Seasonal affective disorder is caused by being exposed to light that says you're in the middle of winter. In wintertime, certain colors are emphasized and certain colors are de-emphasized. And if you change lights in your house to where it overcompensates for that, it'll prevent you from being depressed, but it may make you stay up late. You know, like it did during the summertime. It's called depression. So people are talking about visual damage or it messing, quote unquote, with their circadian rhythms. You mean making you not depressed and not want to sleep all the time? Yeah, that's kind of how it works. But let's just get this done here. Light emitting diodes that are made properly so you don't get hit with ultraviolet light don't produce violet and ultraviolet light. They're missing that part of the spectrum. That's the one characteristic. Second, they have a filled-in curve that has a bump in it, and you can get this one that looks a lot more like a black body curve if you use warm light LEDs. Fluorescents have never had a complete curve that was gentle or pleasant. Incandescent and halogens always have had a curve that a lot of people seem to prefer, but it doesn't look anything like daylight. It can't because it cannot. And that's just all there is to it. You are exposed on a daily basis to sunlight, except during wintertime, that has more blue light in it than you're going to be exposed to anywhere else. And the human eye spectral sensitivity curve means that your brain overemphasizes the blue colors. It is extremely subject to perception and bias. Next, it's the latest health craze for everybody to turn off the blue gun on their freaking computer monitors and does nothing except cause eye strain. Why are you doing this to yourselves? Next, to the Horksteads, the Mark Steeles of the world, who are saying that LED lights are there to cause, quote-unquote, spontaneous abortions and death. And also conflagrating it with radio frequency signals are a form of radiation, so they cause cancer, when they don't. All of you out there that keep supporting this kind of shitheadedness are guilty of causing problems. Again, the only thing that's going to come of this is you're going to increase the suicide rate in wintertime. You're not accomplishing anything, it's not helping your health. This is horse shit. But that's just an opinion. Now, all you have to do, if you're one of the fearmongers in the world, is show a full optical spectrum next to whatever it is you're selling to people for the sunlight and your spectrum, and tell everybody why your spectrum is better than that. And again, if you just want to avoid this, use a warm, white, light-emitting diode. Don't use the others at all. And I don't even want you to use incandescents because they're the wrong spectrum for your eyes, number one. Number two, I want you to make sure you get a good quality light-emitting diode light that's DC based instead of using switching circuits, or has been cleared by the FCC to produce no radio emissions. Next, 5G is many, many frequencies. It is not just a frequency. It's not some magic pinging number to kill you or hurt your hemoglobin or any other thing you're going to post in the comment section below. That's all there is to it today. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that. And yeah, deprogram yourselves.